Okay, so now we're at day 2 of the daily vlog, and I'm kind of tired from work, so I'm hoping I can get this one posted. But let's talk about friends, okay? So, like, how do you guys make friends, and who do you consider your friend? How do you categorize the different friends you have, from, oh, that's someone I know, to, yeah, they're my friend, to they're my best friend? How do you guys categorize this? You can always leave a comment down below. But, like, the story I got for you is, I had a best friend, and we were friends for a long time, and we did a lot of stuff together, and I considered him my best friend because, I can talk to him in confidence that things wouldn't, get put out there and stuff like that, and then also, like, get advice from him on things that I should do. Well, that was going on for a while until, we like kind of like call each other and say, hey, let's go do this. All right. So when that day comes that we're going to go do something, whether it's go to the beach or, just hang out somewhere, I call him and can't get a hold of him. Okay. So he's like a neighbor of mine. So I went down the street and looked, car was there. So I called again and, got his mom on the phone and said, yeah, is, such and such there? I said, no, he left with some friends. And I'm like, really? I go, well, we had planned to do stuff, and, and that was like the day before we made the plans. So he already had other plans going. So I guess it was one of those things, whoever gets there first. Well, apparently I didn't get there first. So, that happened like multiple times to where, like, we'd make plans and then he just, like bail out on me. So I got a little tired of it. So I just go, you know what? I'm not going to call him anymore. So didn't call him, hadn't heard from him for like a couple of months. And then I get a phone call as I was, washing my car, and, it's him. And saying, oh, hey, man, how you doing? I'm like, doing okay, bud. So, I was kind of irritated, like, what do you want? And he basically goes, how come you didn't call me? I go, well, dude, you're never there. Every time I call, you never answer the phone, or you're off somewhere with other friends of yours. So, I'm not going to waste my time. And he goes, well, no one's been calling me. And I'm like, okay. And then, I was kind of irritated, like, why are you, like, asking me this? And he says, I've been sick. And it just kind of like hit me, like, what? You kind of get that sympathy thing going, like, oh man, now you feel bad, because he's sick, he makes you feel bad. So, I listened to his story, and, he's been pretty ill, can't really do anything. And so, at the time I had like an extra video game console, so I took that over to him so he can at least do something while I was at home. I mean, he was really, really sick. He couldn't do anything. So, he started like, getting better as, time went on and everything like that. And then, we started going to school together to become nurses. So we actually went through the nursing program together and stuff like that. And we're kind of like goofballs in there. And we were targeted by the teachers, like, we're going to make sure that you guys are separated. We're like, why? What are we doing? Well, we don't want any monkey business. Okay, so, we were separated, but it got to a point that they couldn't keep us separated for long, and we wound up having to go to the same clinic. And the teacher there, she basically took us aside, took us in a separate room to say, look, I want everything to be professional, no goofing off or anything like that. And we're like, okay. So we were on the floor in the hospital. It was just nothing but business and learning and education. And then we were doing fine. But then after, like, we were done with the clinic, we'd go into a meeting room. We'd talk about what we learned and stuff. And so we became like little goofballs there, which was fine. The teacher got a little irritated, but, she was okay with it. But then one of the times on the clinic floor, we got in trouble. So to set up the situation, I was with the patient because we're assigned patients, and one of the patients I had, the doctor went in and he was like discussing stuff with her and stuff, and it was basically what was going to happen was they had to determine whether or not the patient was going to lose her leg. So they were going to do some tests and stuff like that, and just to see. So we didn't know at that time. So, and also part of the setup is I used to shave my head like really, really short because I didn't have the finances to pay for a haircut, and I didn't want to keep doing it like every month because that's money less that I had for gas to get to school and to, the clinic where you're learning. So I, just bought a wall and just, shaved my head down to like little knobs. If I can find a picture, I'll post it. It's kind of hilarious. But my friend, he was the same way too. He shaved his head as well. So a situation came up where the teacher like called me over, like, come here, what did you guys do? And we're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, the doctor's upset. Like, why? He goes, well, you guys are playing games. And well, what is it that we're doing? And, my friend was like, well, this doctor was like, telling me about this patient that might lose her leg and tell me all this, like, remember that conversation? And I had to tell him, no, I don't remember. And the doctor's like, why are you playing games with me? It's like, I'm not, I don't know what you're talking about. And so, the doctor's getting all upset. So, when we're both in the same room, the doctor came in and he looked at my friend, and then he saw me and looked and goes, and all he did was like this, pointed at both of us, and then he walked off. And then the teacher goes, okay, we need to talk, and took both me and my friend into the room. And then she's like, what'd you guys do? We didn't do anything. I go, look, I had talked to the doctor earlier about this patient that, that and that. And then, I didn't know the doctor went over to my friend here and, tried to have a conversation about that patient that he knew nothing of. So she goes, so it was just a total misunderstanding. I go, yeah, we didn't do anything. It's not like we're twins, because I wear glasses. My friend doesn't wear glasses. He's white, I'm brown. So, all we had was like, that was the same, was we both had the shaved head. And of course, when you're in clinic from a school, you're wearing the same color like uniform. I think at that particular hospital, we had to wear all white, which I hate. I hated wearing white. So, we got confused. So, but the teacher seemed to be okay with it, but she still thought we were playing games. But anyway, me and my friend, we just went through that whole thing. We went through the whole nursing program. We both graduated. He hadn't gotten a job. I hadn't gotten a job yet, but then we wound up working in the same place. And then we had different times and all that. And, he accelerated in it. And I was kind of like struggling with, being a nurse at that time, where I kind of went, I didn't really want to be there, doing the nursing stuff. But, him and I, we stuck together, we, and went through all this together. Well, down the road, I guess when I would call him and try to keep contact with them, if he didn't answer, I'd leave a message, and then usually he would call me back and say, hey, what's up? And then, we try to set up, we'd go out and have lunch together and just hang out. But the last time I called, I left a message. He never got back to me, waited a couple of days, and then I called him back, and then all of a sudden it says, like, this person is not available to you. And I'm like, not available to me? I go, wait a minute, did he block me? And so I figured, okay, he just doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And I might have figured out why, because, I would go to him, and I think I would just complain a lot about my life and stuff like that. And I think he got tired of it. So he just basically blocked me from his phone. And whether he did that intentionally or by accident, I'll never know, because I still haven't heard from him. It's not like he called me or anything and said, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. So I guess my best friend is not my best friend anymore. It was just like that. It wasn't like we had a big argument, a big blowout. It was just basically, I felt that he just blocked me on his phone. And I go, well, I guess we're not friends anymore. And that's how I took it. Being best friends for at least 20 years, all of a sudden, nada, nothing. Kind of weird. So, I'm very careful now with how I make friends and how I categorize my friends and, what I talk about with my friends, because I try not to get too intimate, in the conversations to where, I don't want to say like, I'm not wasting my time. It's just that I just don't want it to get to a situation to where all of a sudden we just stop talking and there's no reason behind it, not at all. So the group of friends that I hang around with, I'm very careful with how I manage my friendship with them, and I try not to go overboard or too far, but yet I'm still helpful to them. I feel, I don't know how they feel. They really haven't said anything to me whether, I'm just a nuisance that, I just hang around or whatever. But, I think we're like at a point to where like, like when we do like the fairs or theme parks, we're like, we'll buy each other drinks or whatever, or food or whatever. And that's just the way we are. We don't say nothing. We don't say, oh, dude, it's your turn to buy all the drinks. And, we don't do that. We just say, hey, just buy the drinks. And, then we'll just go and do it like that. But, with the circle of friends I'm with now with YouTube, I really enjoy the company of the friends I have, from, Alan from Adventures of the Average Dad, the Crash Zero, David from Adventures with David. Then we got Tall Guy. I don't know Dalen very well, but he's part of the group. Josh from Chastain's in LA, Janice from, Janice Yamanaka, Randy from the Funnel Cake Vlog, Eddie from Destination Eddie, Daniel from Real Family Adventures and Memories. I call them my friends, and I hope they reciprocate back. And if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry if I did, but those are usually like the people that we hang around with. Also Adrian, who used to work at Knott's Berry Farm. Unfortunately we couldn't hang out this past weekend. We just couldn't get our time straight, but we're okay with stuff like that. What was it? Knott's Here and Now with Vince the Hat Man and Julie the Hat Man, friends with, and even Lichia, who, watches my videos, makes comments every once in a while, and then, get to see her at the park every once in a while. I think I got everybody. Like I said, if I missed somebody, I apologize. I don't have a script, and I just do this on the fly. But yeah, those are my friends now. And, I'm very happy with, our friendship and everything. And, I hope it continues, and we continue to have fun and talk about theme parks, food, and maybe, other interests might go in there. And it just really like enriches my life. So, but how I make friends, it's just, you just meet people, you talk to them, and then, once you get the conversation going, and, you kind of like enjoy the company, then you can kind of call them their friends, instead of like, okay, that's the person, I just know that person. I don't call them my friend, because a friend to me, you hold like a trust, like a bond with. And, that's why I feel with everybody that I mentioned that I feel a bond with. But, as far as best friends goes, I think that might take me a long time to, just develop like a best friend, because it's not that I got hurt or anything like that. It just felt like almost like betrayal. But that could have been like my fault as well, not necessarily his. But I'm not apologizing for anything. I'm not even going to say I'm sorry about anything. It's just, that's the way it happened, and that's the way it's going to stay. And it just wasn't meant to be, and that's how I look at it. And I'm not bitter about it. I'm not angry about it. I'm not wondering like, gee, what happened? It's just, we just parted ways. And maybe that's the best way to do it, instead of having like an argument and yelling at each other, calling, other people names and stuff like that. I don't think that should go. I think basically I look at it where we're both cowboys that went in a separate direction, where, I went towards the sunset and he went away from it. That's how I look at it. But anyway, I think I've taken enough of your time. This is probably a bit longer than I really wanted to do, but thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story about, my best friend and how we got along, and then we just separated. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night.